Gravity. What is gravity? It is a force, a power that draws objects together. It lives at the center of our existence and controls every aspect of our lives. The sun's gravitational pull is responsible for the orbit of all our planets. In the same way, the Earth has a gravitational effect on the moon as it circles our planet. Gravity affects every human being every day of their life. So what does gravity have to do with sports? Everything. Nature's laws never break. With knowledge, power, and passion, we can cut to their core. Power and accuracy. By leveraging the laws of nature and launching yourself into the throwing zone. Every athlete aims to attain the zone, that amazing state of mind where anything is possible. Here in the throwing zone, we've put the fundamentals of science and sports together to create a complete program teaching anyone to master the physics of sports to attain new levels of confidence, understanding, and peak performance.
You know, my worst throws tend to hurt the most, while my best throws are the easiest and most effortless.
To the untrained eye, throwing might seem like a power play. Anyone who has applied himself or herself to conquering this skill, however, knows that throwing is more about brains than brawn. In fact, throwing is all about technique, which can be broken down into a few basic, easy-to-learn steps. Throwing a javelin is the same as throwing a football or a baseball. Because the javelin is an elongated implement with a long axis, however, it is the most difficult implement to throw. For this reason, the TurboJavelin is the best piece of equipment to use when learning the proper throwing technique. Built by aeronautical engineers and CAD designers, the TurboJav is the best tool to teach correct throwing technique in a safe and fun environment. Using the TurboJav, even the youngest of athletes can master the fundamentals of throwing. Made of polyethylene, the TurboJav measures 700 millimeters long, about 2 feet, and it weighs 300 grams. Its reduced length and light weight make it easy to handle and greatly reduce the risk of elbow and shoulder injuries, frequently brought on by poor throwing technique. The grip on the TurboJav is the same as on a regulation javelin. Both the nose and the fin are consistent with the aerodynamic design. The nose is also soft, which enhances the safety feature and also allows the TurboJav to be used indoors without marking floors in gyms. The TurboJav's obvious safety benefits and design make it the perfect implement for beginner athletes. The TurboJav can also serve the advanced athlete desiring to improve accuracy and technique. In fact, the versatile TurboJav can be used by almost anyone, tall or small, ponytailed or freckled. Young women can throw the TurboJav with just as much skill as young men. Some can even throw it further. And around the world, in countries like Finland, Japan, and South Africa, young athletes are actively participating in mini-jav competitions. Who among them could be a future Olympic champion? With the Learn to Throw system, the foundation is in place. Add lots of practice and a good deal of patience, and anyone can reach their target. To develop an appreciation for throwing further with more velocity and increased accuracy, you must first understand the science that unleashes this immense power. Like tennis or golf, learning to throw involves scientific concepts like center of gravity and leverage systems. In the classroom, on a chalkboard, these concepts might sound dry and uninspiring. However, with the step-by-step Learn to Throw system developed by former world record holder Tom Petranoff, the scientific aspects of throwing can be presented to school children right in their own gym class. Participating in a hands-on experience, these athletes will enjoy a dynamic opportunity to learn new concepts and develop new skills. The game structure of the drills stimulates both the mind and the body. The Learn to Throw system is built around the belief that at the core of every successful thrower is an enthusiastic student. The pretest uses 3 implements and measures not only distance, but accuracy as well. Borrowing from a sport that most students are already familiar with, football, and using a basketball because of its oversized spherical shape, the students are assessed on their techniques and mechanics. The pre-testing drills are strong hand basketball throw, strong hand football throw, strong hand TurboJav throw. The recorded results will serve as a baseline to measure future improvement for each individual participant. If the class is able to enter their results on the EDU Sports website, the sphere of participation can extend around the globe and invite them to learn about places they've never been. For visually oriented individuals, the opportunity to see something demonstrated has a much greater impact than simply reading the instructions. In that regard, the Learn to Throw video is a helpful transition from the point where someone is introduced to the skill to actually participating in the activity. Discussion topics will allow the class a chance to review the scientific concepts presented in the video. 1. What does center of gravity mean? 2. Why is it important to use an over-shoulder throwing motion instead of rotating a throw around one's center of gravity? 3. What is the proper foot placement for learning to find your center of gravity for fully using your leverage system? 4. What is neuromotor memory? 5. What is grip, and how does it affect the direction and force of a throw? 6. What is leverage, and how does the body utilize a leverage system? 7. What does applying force mean? 8. What does carrying and drawback in javelin throwing mean? 9. What does throwing through the point mean? 10. Why is the TurboJav a good tool for learning to throw any object? Before any demonstrations or any throws, every class must start with a review of safety concerns. If possible, have these safety concerns written out and posted for easy reference. 1. Throw only when instructed to do so, after making sure that no one is in front of you. 2. Collect the TurboJav only when instructed to do so. 3. Carry the TurboJav back with you. Never throw it back. 4. Throw only in the defined area, and only when the area is clear. 5. Never turn your back on another thrower. 6. Never attempt to catch a TurboJav. The typical gym is ideal for staging drills. To prepare for this class, use the 2 basketball hoops at either end of the court and set up targets along the wall for a total of 6 stations. After warm-up exercises and stretches, divide the class into groups of 4 to 6. With ample space between the separate groups, each group lines up behind their marker. For further safety, you can also place a second marker behind the thrower for the athletes waiting their turn, creating a safety zone around the thrower. From these positions, the athletes should pay close attention as their teacher demonstrates each step of the throw, including the grip, the carry and drawback, flight release, and follow-through. Throughout the demonstration, the teacher discusses the concepts of center of gravity, leverage systems, proper foot placement, and proper grip and over-shoulder throwing technique. Lastly, before the students make their first attempts at throwing the TurboJav, the teacher should remind them that using proper technique makes throwing a TurboJav safer for all involved. Athletes should be cautioned against losing control of the tip and letting the javelin wave in all directions. The tip of the javelin should always be pointing at the target. Keeping this in mind, the thrower is ensuring a safer experience for himself and for those around him. Learn to throw drills are designed to be both fun and challenging. To help focus on results, have the students aim for accuracy and target the circles within the target. Have them keep a tally of the points. 5 points for hitting the inner circle. 3 points for hitting the center circle. 1 point for hitting the outside circle. Each team of athletes should be kept busy practicing their skills and adding up the points. The teacher should stress that working together in each group will motivate the students to do their best, and they should help one another. Just above the grip area, you will see a raised V with several red dots. The unique Y system of the TurboJav assures a proper grip. If you open your hand, you will notice a crease. Place the grip with the dots face down into your hand. Rest your thumb and your index finger on the raised V. Now, bring your thumb and index finger around the lip of the grip. Stand with feet flat on the ground, shoulder width apart, and facing the target. Using the proper grip, hold the TurboJav with the point in front and the fins to your back. Then, lift the TurboJav to eye level just above your ear. In this starting stance, and through the release, the TurboJav should be parallel to the ground, and the tip of the TurboJav should be pointing at the target. The non-throwing arm should also be pointing in the direction of the throw. Draw the TurboJav back with your throwing arm, being careful not to bend your elbow and not allowing the nose of the TurboJav to rise or fall. The energy of the throw should start down at the feet, moving up through the stomach and the shoulders. Your arm becomes an extension of this movement. In a smooth and continuous motion, the TurboJav is pulled forward and thrown over the shoulder. Although it may not be practiced until Lesson 6, the students should also be taught the importance of the follow-through. Throwers who are using a full-step running approach will generate a great deal of momentum. A proper follow-through fully transfers this energy to the throw. This is the same idea that a golfer practices when he completes his swing after connecting with a golf ball. If a thrower abruptly stops their body motion when they release the TurboJav, however, they are robbing the throw of its full force. For younger children, the emphasis should be on skills development and improved accuracy. The drills included in the Learn to Throw program encourage accuracy by awarding points for hitting the target. Once students have successfully completed the target drills, they can move on to throwing for distance. However, it is imperative that the technical aspects of throwing the TurboJav are mastered before moving into distance throwing. When throwers find that hitting the target is too easy, move back the throwing line. If the group started at 5 meters, move them back another 5. And when the students have mastered the 10-meter throw, pull them back another 5. By focusing on increasing the distance of their throws, the students will find that technique matters even more. Everybody has heard the adage, practice makes perfect. And at this point in the Learn to Throw program, the teachers will have a great opportunity to demonstrate to their students how their muscles work in partnership with their brain. To understand the scientific principles behind neuromuscular training, students will participate in drills requiring them to throw with both their right arms and their left arms. The point of this demonstration is that good athletes often benefit from training with their weaker side when their old habits are impeding their progress. Pitting their weak side against their strong side, the students will be surprised to see the degree of accuracy they can achieve with their weaker side. Unlike earlier lessons, the emphasis here is on repetition rather than point scoring. Repetition promotes good motor skills. The more the athlete practices the skill, the more it becomes second nature. You can even practice the drills in slow motion. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Suggested drills for enhancing neuromotor skills are 1. Strong hand standing throw. 2. Weak hand standing throw. 3. Strong hand target throws. 4. Garbage can or basketball hoop throws. Reversal drills are another way of demonstrating the impact of learned habits. Switching forward throws to backward throws gives you the chance to train an entirely new set of muscles. Students who are throwing for distance can practice the following drills. 1. Two-hand throws over the center of gravity. 2. One-step throws. 3. Drawback, emphasizing over-the-shoulder movement and throwing through the point. If they are throwing for distance, students should be aware that proper technique is fundamental to both the success of the throw and the safety of the athletes. All successful throws should be measured and then converted into the metric system for entering into the website later. Returning to the drills first executed in Lesson 1, this session provides a good opportunity for the students to see how much they have improved. Working within the same environment to ensure the comparability of test results, the individual results of these post-tests are matched to the pre-test results recorded earlier. A large number of students will enjoy seeing that they've improved their skills and achieved a higher level of accuracy with their throws. For maturing students, athletic accomplishments such as this often translate into a boost in self-esteem and heightened social confidence. A step-by-step review of the techniques involved in throwing the TurboJav is helpful at this point for students of all ages and levels of ability. For the students whose post-tests revealed they had not experienced significant improvement, this review can determine where their technique might be faulty. Those students who have successfully mastered throwing technique can step forward at this point and serve as terrific role models for their classmates. Frequent lapses in technique are allowing the tip of the TurboJav to wave in all directions. The tip of the TurboJav needs to always point in the direction of the target. Letting the throwing arm rotate on the horizontal axis. The thrower should keep the throwing arm and the TurboJav over the shoulder and in line with the body's leverage system. Using brute strength and trying to strong arm it. A good throw is a controlled movement that uses the body's center of gravity and leverage system to catapult the TurboJav forward. An interesting exercise here is to invite the students to launch a paper airplane. In this demonstration, they will see that pushing the plane forcefully generally results in a crash, whereas careful technique enables it to glide a great distance. From the beginning, athletes need to be made aware that proper technique is critical. Students might be in a rush to throw, but they need to first become familiar with alignment and gravity. It's useful to remember that before they could stand, they had to crawl. And once they could stand, they could walk, eventually run. Nobody learns to run first. Learning to throw the TurboJav is a step-by-step process that requires a lot of patience and a lot of practice. For students who showed excellent technique throughout the standing throws, this is an opportunity to add an approach to their throw. Beginning with a one-step approach, the coach can progress these students to the three-step approach, the five-step, and then the seven-step approach. If they continue to demonstrate good control of the TurboJav, these students can then begin to throw using the full approach. In conjunction with their efforts to extend their approach, athletes also have to concentrate on what happens after they release the TurboJav. A strong approach will put the athlete in good position for the throw, But without a complete follow-through, the throw will fall short. Many athletes come to a stop at the end of their approach and then throw. A successful throw, however, requires that the athlete continue with the forward momentum of their approach and let the arm and leg come forward after the release. It is important to remember that, thrown correctly, the TurboJav will fly as far as the real javelin. Promoting the overall value of proper throwing technique, the TurboJav provides a fun, educational, and interactive environment for school children around the world. The TurboJav is cost-effective, user-friendly, and safe, and the Learning to Throw program connects with students at every age level. Younger children are delighted with a bullseye. High school students who have mastered the mechanics of the throw find satisfaction in increasing the distance of their throws. World records, of course, are measured in distance, but there are many other rewards available to athletes who learn to throw the TurboJav. The satisfaction of learning a new skill, the feeling of success and increased self-esteem that builds with every point scored, team interaction with peers, locally and through the internet, and awareness that exercise can be both fun and educational. We hope that you will benefit in all these ways from this program. The goal of Learning to Throw is to foster safe and healthy exercise, starting from a young age. We salute the athletes out there who do their homework, put in lots of practice, and achieve their goals.
I got started throwing the javelin because I was told I couldn't do it. People always say you can't, you won't, and you never will. I say I can, I will, and you watch me. My world records were the direct result of hard work and correct technique. It's that simple. Hi, my name is Tom Petronoff, and for the next few minutes I'm going to teach you exactly how to throw the TurboJav. The most important step, first of all, is to have this area of the grip where the round rope cords are, is known as a grip. This area here is the back ridge of the grip, is where your hand's going to be placed. First, you take between your thumb and your index finger, if you bring them close together, you'll see a crease inside your hand. that leads along here. This is where the TurboJav sits inside the hand. There's one grip this way, and the second type of a grip can come from here. That's the way that I hold the javelin. But when you hold it, you want it so that it's near the forearm, or near that the point and the elbow are close together, and this brings you up to the carry position. Now once you're in the carry position, it's important that you have a line of sight, a line of target, so that you know what you're aiming at by pointing your left hand at it, bringing the TurboJav back a little bit like darts, and throwing it from here. So you touch the fingers together, forming this type of a crease inside the hand. The grip goes on there like this, or like this. So step 2 is the carry. Now before you can do the carry, you have to get your feet placement right. We have used these feet as reference points so that the kids know when they start from a standing throw that they actually step onto these 2 feet here like this. Now the arrow in the center is where your center of gravity is. This is the area right here where all your power is going to be generated from, that comes straight up through you, up to the top of your head, and that's actually where the javelin should be carried. So what we teach kids is to hold it here like this. Elbow pointing forward, not out to the side like this. Elbows pointing forward, point pointing forward, finger at the target. And then the athlete brings back slightly from this point. Maintain rhythm. Don't try to force it. Stay relaxed. Follow through. Get the TurboJav to glide by keeping the release low and through the point. Both arms must be above the shoulder, as you can see by the horizontal line. When starting the throw, the TurboJav is over the center of gravity as seen by the vertical line. This is essential for developing leverage when pulling the TurboJav over the shoulder. Straight back. Once you get the whole thing there, this, and the 2 eyes are pointed forward, you bring the javelin straight back to here, and you throw at the target. What is also very important is that your chest, your head, and throwing arm, and the point of the TurboJav are all pointing at the target, and stay that way through the throw. Never twist away from the direction of the throw, as this will detrimentally affect flight. As you can see here, he is drawing back too fast, and his elbow and body twist when he draws back. When applying force, alignment is essential for the TurboJav to have the best result. It's like darts. You want to teach the kids. Most kids, like that girl that I was teaching yesterday, she couldn't get the hang of it. So I said it's like darts. Bring it back here and just throw it like darts. Like you're trying to hit it with a dart so you can know what the flight path is. Instead, they're using their wrist every time. And it's so important that you get it from there and then bring them back a little bit and have them go there. Okay, so then it's back here. There you go. There you go. The whole objective is now that once you get good at the standing throw, that when you got the carry right and you got the flight characteristics right, then you can move the target back further. But the whole idea is that when you have it here, it's like looking down the barrel of a gun here or a bow and arrow, and you're aiming at that particular sight. You got to have good line of sight. You bring it straight back, throw, and follow through. Make sure your feet are shoulder width apart and on the footprints. Everything must be pointing in the direction of the throw. You are standing on the balls of your feet and not flat-footed. Once you can glide the TurboJav a short distance, then the target may be moved further away. Do not twist your body or throw out from the side. Here, and now the point is turned away from it. And then you've got no force this way. This way. You're going like this. You're here, and you go this way. Which is wrong. You can't do it because now the point's pointing up that way, and you're trying to bring this and bring it in this way. Versus bringing it straight back, forward, and follow through. Once you get these foot placements right, and they're learning to pull from their chest and come this way with the throw, then you're ready to add what we call the one-step throw. This is the standing throw. The center of gravity is directly underneath you, here. Now, you go to the one-step throw back here, the center of gravity changes, and now it's sitting under here. This is where your center of gravity takes off. Once you get comfortable with this, and you can get the line of flight here, 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 and then back here, and remembering now there is no wrist movement whatsoever in the javelin. A lot of people take the wrist, they cock it back, and then they throw it. The most important thing is that when you bring the javelin back, your wrist actually slightly closes, like this, versus being open. Now the point's out to the side, you close the wrist, it brings it into line. So that's very important. So now when we're ready to go, we bring the right foot straight back. Draw back the javelin, throw, and follow through. Everything stays the same. Here, back, throw, and follow through. We step up, square, shoulders are square, point line of sight, line of left hand, bring the foot back straight so you're balanced, center of gravity is underneath you now. Bring the javelin straight back this way. Throw and follow through. Now that we're into this, and now we're going to start bringing the foot back. When you bring this back, this left arm, or the reason that it's pointing out this direction, is that this is going to start the motion or the stretch across the shoulders, which is actually going to drive and accelerate the javelin over the top. So this becomes the actionary side of the throw, and this stays relaxed and you get stretch reflex across the shoulders. That's the whole emphasis on pulling a javelin and not throwing it. Everybody tries to push, throw, versus pulling from here, hitting this. That's the C position. This part here, hitting the C. No elbow bend whatsoever. We have everything correct. We have the javelin sitting in the right position. Left arm pointing at target, point pointing at target, eyesight pointing at target, and the javelin is level to the ground. You're pointing at horizon or slightly below horizon, depending on what your line of sight is. You must always have a target to aim at. To draw back the javelin, making sure that the javelin doesn't move in either one of these areas, stays as close to eye level and close to parallel to the ground, like this. Not like this, off to the side, and where you're playing with your wrist. From here, straight back here. When you master this technique, you will be able to throw any object further with more accuracy while reducing stress on the joints, ligaments, and tendons. Whether it's baseball, football, or javelin throwing, you will be able to throw much better with less stress on the body. The most important thing for the beginner javelin thrower to understand is that they have to aim at the target, at the orange part with the little man inside the target. Most kids tend to want to start the arm motion before they've learned to line up the javelin, like that throw, versus getting it correctly lined up, following through, and hitting the target. First, get your feet positioned well. Aim your left hand at the target. Line it up, throw, and follow through. As you can see, most kids want to leave the point off to the right. The most important thing is to get the javelin lined up in the first place. Most kids want to come down like a baseball or football and try to throw it around their body instead of trying to get it over the top and over their leverage position. And they also tend to want to drop the left shoulder or bail out of the throw. Getting the javelin lined up and following through properly is important. Most kids don't get the point lined up with the orange part of the target at the front, point their left hand at the target, throw and follow through. Most of people tend to step out to the left instead of continuing the momentum over their left leg. Getting the grip is important. Again, getting the left arm lined up, getting their feet placed in the right position to throw, and then following through and not losing the point. Keeping control of that and not falling off to the left is the most important aspect of learning how to throw. This boy loses the point and then drops his left shoulder and falls to the left, which is incorrect. Stand tall. Keep the point facing forward. Use the shoulder to throw, not your arm. That was a little bit better, but you have to learn how to follow through with the throw. She gets a good alignment with her point. She loses the point a little bit, and that's why the javelin goes across sideways. This is a good technique. She's a little bit off to the right with the point, but she brings it around when she applies force, which gives her the accuracy, and most importantly, she follows through with the throw. You must practice this over and over again before you start to throw further distances. Again, most people want to leave the point way out to the right like that and throw around or across their body. And getting set up properly is the big problem. You must first start with the basics and learn how to get yourself in the proper position. Throwing around the body is what's going to affect the flight the most. Keeping the point straight, left arm straight, follow through will give you a lot better consistency in your throwing. This is not the way to throw the TurboJav. Around the body, falling out to the left. This is better, but she's still not continuing the momentum and following through. You must always keep the javelin aligned in the direction that it's flying. As you increase the distance, you must be more perfect in getting your javelin lined up at the target and keeping the momentum going in the direction of the throw. It's like an airplane taking off down the runway, and the more you lose the body of the javelin's angle toward the target, the less you're able to get accuracy and distance on the throw. This is a good improvement. She's holding it higher, above her head, and she's using her shoulder more instead of her arm, and she continues the momentum over the left leg. Again, falling out to the left, bailing out, not following through. Common problem that you'll find with most athletes versus the good linear, straightforward approach and follow through. You must practice this over and over again, and also throw it with opposite hands. Teaching the athlete how to throw with the left side at a closer distance will help them understand the memory leverage systems, because their left side or opposite side of their throwing arm doesn't have bad memory. For me to be able to do this over and over has taken years of practice, and most kids will get it once they understand where their leverage and center of gravity position is. If you look at the lines of the vertical and horizontal lines as these athletes throw, you'll see where the direction of power and the alignment of the javelin is and where their momentum is. This is crucial in understanding why the implement has to come over the top and over your center of gravity. This is good technique. Lining up, keeping the javelin always facing in the direction of the throw, and following through. Whether you're throwing at targets or at garbage cans or at basketball hoops or for distance, you always have to keep your leverage and your center of gravity following through at the target. In conclusion, the TurboJav is designed to teach athletes and teachers how to develop leverage over your center of gravity. Once you understand where your center of gravity is, you can utilize this to use leverage, in which you can apply force and improve accuracy for throwing any implement.
So Petranov, a man who, as we said earlier, deals in a relatively anonymous aspect of track and field, is certainly making his presence felt, winning the tennis and then winning the swimming despite his leg cramping up. In weightlifting, he was beaten there only by the mammoth Mark May. In rowing, he took that event earlier this morning. The middle man of three and the first across the finish line, and you just saw what he did in golf. So Tom Petranov, a man who has clinched it. Big smile, very personable fella, and the favorite to win a gold medal in the javelin at the Olympics in Los Angeles this summer.